I want to ask you guys a question here about Arsenal. Well, there's a story today from Give Me Sport that is stating that Newcastle are ready to offer Isak a new contract and nearly double his salary. And I don't think any of us are going to be surprised to see Newcastle going on the offensive, being assertive, and looking to keep him. We know that Liverpool have already started having conversations with his backroom staff. It's been reported by a number of sources that Arsenal will make an approach. We also know, and I want to put this comment up because I think it's really, really important earlier, that states that the Newcastle owner has told staff that they must keep Isak at any cost. They cannot let him go. They're pushing that it's a non-story. They will not be letting him leave in any capacity whatsoever. We've had Marky here that has said no issue with players being linked elsewhere, but this one doesn't make any sense. He isn't going to go. If Newcastle's media briefings are to be believed, them offering a new deal, is this a transfer that Arsenal should step away from now in March and focus elsewhere? Or do you think, because it looks like they're going to fight for him, do you think Arsenal should do that? Or should they take the advice of Newcastle fans? Should they take the advice of the ownership that it's a non-starter and walk away? What do you think Arsenal should do?
This is why Arab owners are the best owners you could ever get, because they don't give a shit. They just want to win. They're here for the love of the game. Saudi Arabia is not using Newcastle to make money because Saudi Arabia prints money by the millisecond as we're speaking. You get me? That's more money than we've ever seen in our life. So when it comes to this type of ownership, this is the type of like ambition owner that we should all want. But when it comes from Arsenal perspective, look, I still think they should try. Like, I'm not saying Arsenal should not try. Like, even a Newcastle fan will tell you, like, come try for him at least. But it's about whether the fact that you get him over the line or not. Like, that's the thing. So okay, so because Terry's question is, I understand Terry's question, because his question is, okay, let's say Arsenal go into the summer and their two targets are Isak and Sesko. While Arsenal are trying to convince Isak, Liverpool go sign Sesko, as an example. And then Arsenal are sat there going like, oh shit, now Isak is not coming and Sesko's gone. What do we do now? Type thing. Which is very logical way of looking at it. If you can't give yourself less time to pivot and make a decision to go from option A to option B. Now with Isak, because he's so amazing, you should still try. You should still like go like, okay, Newcastle, how much do you want? Is there anything we can negotiate? Is there a player you would take, etc., etc., etc.? And so should Liverpool. We should try, but at the end of the day, if the Newcastle demands are way too much and Isak is showing no interest in leaving, then there's no point pursuing it. And on top of that as well, we have to keep in mind it's very important this season to watch if Newcastle make top 4 or not, like top 5 or not, Champions League or not. Because after winning the Carabao Cup, they've essentially qualified for the Conference League now, which is obviously not something Isak's going to look forward to. Like, yeah, I'm in the Conference League. Like, obviously, he's not going to be looking forward to that. He's going to be looking forward to Champions League level football, which is why if they do get top 5, I think, I'll give you a very straightforward answer. Newcastle get top 5, give up. Isak staying at Newcastle, essentially. Genuinely, just give up. Just give it up. He's not going to leave. That's what
I was gonna ask you. I don't think Isak leaves if Newcastle make Champions League, because I think Newcastle can pay him the wages he wants. And Newcastle, at the current moment, he has been at the team for a long time. I think Arsenal should give up. They shouldn't even target Isak. Not even Liverpool. I don't think he's going anywhere. The only place he would go, he might go to the Real Madrids or the Barcelonas if they are in for him.
Yeah.
If they are in for him, but if they make Champions League, he's not going anywhere. And listen, people should be scared of Newcastle. I promise you this. People should be scared. This can be another Man City. This can be another Man City team. I'm not saying scared like you should fight them. It's good that we have another team that will be able to compete. Of course, instead of Spurs, which is better for the football with Arab owners, of course.
Here we go.
I'm being serious.
Oh,
people should be scared of Newcastle. People should be scared of Newcastle. If Newcastle get Champions League football and they start spending money, right, and they start expanding, I genuinely believe that Newcastle will be challenging for the title within 5 years. And I believe genuine challenge with a genuine opportunity, a real one, to win the title, like what Man City did. If they keep these players, remember these players are young. Newcastle are investing. They get Champions League money. I believe these guys are just gonna go and make this team even better. Is it Eddie Howe the guy or not? I promise you, these guys are not shy. They're gonna get rid of. If Eddie Howe is not the guy for them, they're gonna get rid of Eddie Howe and get a top manager to get them to the top. These are the Arab owners for you. That's why everyone wants an Arab owner, because they don't care about the money, as Sam said. But if they make Champions League, bro, nobody's getting Isak. Nobody's getting.
Yeah, nobody's
Gordon,
getting him.
Nobody's getting Guimaraes. Nobody's getting these people.
I agree to a certain extent. And what I mean by that is the only way Arsenal, Liverpool, anybody get Isak is if Isak wants to leave. Because look, I get what you're saying about the owners. Their desire is to win. Man City, though, do allow players to leave that want to leave. They let, and I would say that Isak is better and more of a star of the team, but Julian Alvarez was allowed to leave and they still needed him. Sane was allowed to leave. They still needed him. So when a player wants to go because they want to win, they understand, these owners, that you don't hold on to individuals that do not want to be at your club. And I think that this is what Arsenal and what Liverpool have got to get their heads around quickly. I think what you cannot do, Man United made this mistake with De Jong. I think De Jong was open to coming to Man United, but we wouldn't pay his deferred wages. And Barca said, if you leave, you don't get them. That was in the contract. So even though Barca accepted our bid, we couldn't get out of that deal. We couldn't get the deal done. That wasn't the mistake. The problem was spending 3 or 4 months on it and then not landing him. I've quite liked Casemiro, but then getting Casemiro at the 11th hour, when actually we could have added Casemiro in the beginning of the summer, given him a pre-season and started the season better. That is what I think Arsenal have to do here. I've said all along, and a lot of Newcastle fans have hated this conversation happening, and I think it's an important one to have, because there's also a lot of compliments towards your club in here. I think he could be sold, but it will be if the player says no. So, for instance, say he rejects his new deal, then I think you, if you're Arsenal, if you're Liverpool, if you're any other potential suitor, I think
You should make a move. You should.
You make a move instantly and you say, boom, well, we'll offer you that same money or maybe a bit more. Bang. Newcastle, he doesn't want to stay. So you're going to start losing value on him. So look, there's 100 million to start with as an opening bid. You would never just offer the 150 straight away. You would always try and negotiate that down. If, however, you're an Arsenal intermediary, you're an agent, and you look, the player doesn't mind coming to Arsenal, but he'll probably agree to your terms, but he's very happy here at Newcastle. So you've got to do the deal with Newcastle. If that's the word, walk away instantly. Because if the player isn't pushing to leave, Newcastle will only accept obscene money. And the problem is with spending obscene money. Now, this might trigger some Newcastle fans. I think Isak's amazing, but I don't think he's worth 150 to 200 million pounds to Liverpool or Arsenal. When you consider you could get Osimhen, Turkey, and Nico Williams as an example for the same price combined. And that adds. And I think then your team becomes stronger. You've got more versatility. You've strengthened multiple areas. And that isn't because Isak isn't a brilliant player, but you're spending a lot more money on him. I don't think Isak for 150 million, that's almost double the price of Victor Osimhen. I don't think he scores you double the goals.
I agree. He doesn't.
He might score more goals, but I don't think he's scoring double the goals. I don't think you're getting double the level of performance, double the consistency.
The value is more than I think the value of him in the Premier League at Arsenal, the clutch moments and all this stuff. I think it's worth the clutch moment. It's not about the number of goals only. It's about what time do you score, how many points can he win on his own. Like you can, Alexander Isak on his own might win Arsenal next season 24 points or 18 points on his own. Just 6 games, he wins them. He wins Arsenal these 18 points. And maybe these 18 points are worth that extra 70, 80 million because they are worth winning the Premier League for them. Maybe it is. But I'm questioning, why would Isak join Arsenal if Newcastle make Champions League? Do we think the trajectory of Arsenal are better than Newcastle? Especially Okay.
You always overdo it. Like you could be cooking and then you do too much.
Mm.
Like, is the trajectory of Newcastle better than Arsenal? Just because Newcastle won a Carabao Cup doesn't mean they have better trajectory, Mo. Relax. They still need to prove it. Calm down.
But if you let me finish that sentence, because based on Arsenal fans, the owners are a disgrace. Not based on me, based on your logic, the owners are a disgrace, and the owners of Newcastle are great. So which one would you choose? Not Mo. It's based on
No,
you.
me, I would choose Newcastle owners, of course. I would choose Newcastle owners. Are you mad? Bring Newcastle owners to Liverpool right now. We'd win everything. I have no problem with that whatsoever, bro. Bring me a Newcastle owner. But that doesn't mean when we're talking trajectories, I'm saying Newcastle still have to prove it. That's all I'm saying. It's just to start
I
this beginning.
understand that. But I'm just looking at Osimhen here this season, right? So I didn't watch all of these games, but I'm just looking at his goals. And so many of his goals, he's got the opening goal on a good number of occasions. Just me reading this quickly, I've just got what we on now. He's got 22 goals. I've already counted like 5 winning goals, 3 equalizing goals. 1 was a penalty, but again, they're real goals. I think we'll all agree on that on here. I am not saying I don't think Osimhen is as good as Isak. I'm not stating that. I just look at it and think this is why Arsenal and Liverpool need to be careful. If the player is saying, look, I am not signing a new deal at Newcastle, thank you for everything, but I want to go, then I think you push hard and you push to drive the price down. You could get him for 110, 120 maybe. I think if you have to start at 150 and it could rise because the player is indifferent about leaving and the club have zero desire to sell, you then start going into the realms where you're taking away from another player that you could potentially buy that also makes your team better. And I do think Arsenal and Liverpool have to weigh that option up. But look, it's positive news for Newcastle that they're offering him a new deal.
Yeah, but don't make it drag into a saga, Terry. That's my point. Because if it drags into a saga, it's going to be 4 months of BS, essentially.
I agree.
Like,
I
just
agree.
listen, within the first 2 weeks, a month, you can know already what's going on.
And also, I think for Liverpool and Arsenal, there's something that's not really been discussed a lot, but I think it's so important when you look ahead of this summer. Man City and Chelsea, who, depending upon their transfer business, will be in top 4 races or title races, neither, especially if they're successful, are going to have a preseason. They're not going to have a preseason. So when it comes to, because they've got the Club World Cup ends in the middle of July, Man United's first preseason game is 3 days after that. So that Chelsea squad is then going to go, that City squad is going to go on what, a 2 week, 3 week, 4 week break before the season starts. Otherwise, it's literally going to be 0 break. So the point I'm making here is when you're Liverpool and you're Arsenal, the other 2 teams are really considered. Already we're looking at it and saying we'll probably be in and around a title race, or at least have the expectations there. You want to try and get your business done early as best you can, because what would be amazing for your 2 teams is to have a full preseason with the vast majority of your new signings and players, so you can start that season well. Because there is the possibility, no matter what City do, City could spend 400 million this summer, especially if they win the World Cup, right? Because there's big money in it. But if they're not playing together and they're not integrating together, it might take them 6 weeks. It might take them 2 months to really get going and to really gel. By then, if you're a Liverpool, if you're an Arsenal, and by the way, I think Newcastle, if they have a good summer and keep Isak, I think if Forest invest well this summer when they make the Champions League, because I think they will, they'll look at it this way. We can start well and create a bit of a buffer. It enhances everybody's opportunity of making the Champions League, which is important, because I actually think all the teams that are in and around the Champions League fight this year, I do think their clubs, I know FFG have a way of buying and they're going to stick to it, but I still think your clubs all want to win trophies. I don't think, I think there's a question mark over Arsenal. I get that. Some Chelsea fans don't agree with it, but I certainly think Newcastle, I think Manchester City, as an example, I think Nottingham Forest, I think those owners want to win trophies. I think they want to win the whole thing. So,
I agree.
100%.
I just think that this summer, there's an opportunity here for anyone who's fighting for top 4, anybody that thinks they're going to be in a title race, to try and get the march on Chelsea and Arsenal. And that's by buying as early as possible, being together for pre-season, and being ready to go day 1 of the Premier League, because you could create a 6-9 point gap early on in the season which is hard to make up later on down the line. So yeah, I think getting into some drawn out saga is the worst thing anyone can do in this scenario.
Yeah, within a month you can figure it out. And if Newcastle make Champions League football, in my opinion, and I think Mo agreed with this earlier on as well. Listen, just give it up. Like if they make top 5, like just give up.
There are other players around that.
And also, why is everyone acting like Osman is shit all of a sudden? I don't get that.
There's Lautaro Martinez as well. They can buy that one. It'll be a box striker.
Quaylen's available. Do you know what I love about the Osimhen talk, right? All season it's been, but he's never had more than one season where he scored over 20 league goals. Well, he's done it now this season. It was always coming. He's got 20 league goals in 22 games this season. It's his best goals to game ratio. He has 26 goals in 30 games. He had 6 goals in 7 European matches, and he's not playing for a particularly good team. So, look, he's a very good striker. Has 140 goals in 250 games as a professional player as an example. He has 23 goals in 39 international games for Nigeria. He's a very good striker. He really is. I'd love him at Man United, and he's a good soul.